Like this, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I was AFK in a bad position, and I got knocked out by a elite ogre. Okay, now I can join the battleground. Let's see. No! Should be safe here. Come on, give me a group. Just found one. Torn Gorge? What the hell is that? I don't think I've tried that one. Yay! Okay, I'm gonna follow this guy. He's a tank. No, he's gonna run away from me. No! Where is my... Oh, what? I put it there? Oh well. What the hell? How fast is... Oh, he probably used the speeding thing. Why is it so long cooldown on that? Yeah, I'm dead. He stole my mana on the heal, so... Yeah, my gear is really shit as well, so... Where's my... What? Did he die or? Ah, shit.
My mana is low. It's too far away. My mana is low. That's still recharging.
Don't have mana! He probably used... No! Yeah, my spell layout is wrong. I feel like... Where the first... Oh, there it is. My gear would have been much better if I went retro, I think. What? Honor is nice, but 20 gold is it 20 gold per kill? No. That's crazy if that's the case. Alright. Wait, which team am I on? I'm not sure. Am I on the Horde team? Blech. I don't know. Yeah, so... No, I'm on Alliance, okay. No, I'm on hard. Okay, we are in the lead. Nice. Rogar for the Alliance. Yes, Exalted One. Where the fuck are we? Movement. It's oh, there. Oh, they were behind us. Yeah. Okay, we need only one more flag and then we win.
That's still recharging. That spell is a ring. 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 That's still recharging. It's too far away. My mana is low.
Oh, nice, we won. Huh? Demonic? What? Lol. Oh, I got a rank scout. Huh. Oh wait. What? Oh, private, yeah, right. That's the same as scout, I guess. Did I earn any XP from that though? I only got... Okay, I'm now on... Who's Alliance? Okay. Oh. I guess the enemy team has some better gear, since I have mostly been running around for most of the time, killing mobs, and I'm not going into dungeons, so my gear level is pretty bad. What the? Oh shit. Yeah, we're losing this one big time.
I'm out of range. It's too far away.
What? Suddenly.
It's too far away. I'm out of range. It's too far away. I need to get closer.
Yeah, I need to fix my interface so I can't target. Or is that not possible? of course, a mage. No.
I can't cast that yet. That's still recharging. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready. That spell isn't ready. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready. That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet.
Well, this is a loss.
That's still recharging. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready. That spell isn't ready yet. I need a target. I'm out of range.
Ooh, another one. No druid. Yeah, this is gonna not go. Oh wait, sorry, we have one druid. I thought this battleground was 10 versus 10. Hopefully she has wait, played with that player Panty Sniffy, yeah. Played with that guy the last match here as well. Oh, I'm the leader. Shit. Ah, it's so annoying that it's so annoying. Oh, that's when I try casting a spell and I'm on the horse. I can't because I'm on the horse. I'm quite sure back in vanilla I was able to cast something and then it will dismount me and then I get... Maybe it wasn't like that.
recharging. That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready yet. I don't have a target. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't ready.
What he... What? Yeah, it's quite, what you call it, burst damage. Resist, of course, because it's 49. Fuck. Their DPS is so wild. And he's running faster than me. Huh. Oh yeah, probably because of the frostbolt. Okay. God damn, I'm so out of practice in PvP. Yeah. Like shaman with 3000 HP, one level. Yeah, if I want to play PvP, I just have to wait until I'm 60 so I can actually get, or lock my level to, let's say 49 or 29 or something. Gear up. Because right now I have quite a lot of mixed gear. I don't even manage to heal. Okay, what's the time now? Oh, I just have to go BRB for a few minutes, or 10 minutes maybe. After that, I will try to join a dungeon. Okay, I'm back. What should I do now? Should I try and find a dungeon? What? Overwatch Mark 1?
Yo! For real!
Wait, what? Did it just got removed? And I tried to send a message to the leader. Okay, maybe I should just respect retry instead, because holy requires gear to be effective. Or I can just have some fun, assist some lower level people. Yeah, is it go on? Let's see how many people are online now. 2,616. Maybe I should try queuing up for the Razor Fin Downs as well. I've not done that dungeon here in this server, so I guess I can just fly to Hinterlands while I'm waiting.
Where would you like to fly to?
No, bro, that's the wrong one. Crap. Kilnea City, what level is that? 43 to 52. Okay. Is there any point for me running around here?
Here there. The Silverwing Sentinels are at war.
What? Okay, that's the wrong voice.
There are, however, more reasons to defend this particular forest than the preservationist philosophy the Silverwings espouse. The forest forms a good day to you. See you.
Okie dokie. Let's see if we can kill some creatures in the wild. how easy or hard is it to kill something as a holy paladin with crap gear? But before I start engaging, I will start my podcasts or audiobooks I'm listening to.
Garrow, Oath of Moment. Written by James Swallow. Performed by Toby Longworth.
It's too far. I need to get closer.
Calth was a world ablaze. Deep in the Viridian system, beneath the hard light of a wounded sun, war like no other had come to the planet. A war that echoed across the galaxy. A war that would change the face of humankind forever. Across the dying fields of blackened grasses, in the rubble of silent cities, through canyons of dark rock and ice-rimed sands, brother fought brother. The Ultramarines, the sons of the great tactician Primarch Reboot Guliman, had come to the Viridian system to marshal their forces for battle. Their commander, ever the loyal soldier of the Imperium, massed the best of the 13th Legionnaires Astartes, and their auxiliaries from the Ultramar regiments of the Imperial Army. This he did under the orders of his brother, the War Master Horus Lupercal. This Guliman did without doubt or question. His fealty was repaid with treason of the most odious stripe. For the battle to come, the battle Horus told him to prepare for, instead arrived shrieking from the skies on trails of blood and murder. The warriors of Lorgar's 17th Legion, the zealot word-bearers, had come to kill. And with their oaths to the Emperor of Mankind broken, their new turncoat loyalty to Horus still painted fresh upon their blood-dark armor, the word-bearers stabbed their brothers in the back and scattered the Ultramarines to the points of the compass. Now, fire cradled Calth in molten talons of churning gas. Great streams of glowing color that reached around the latitudes and raked the heavens. The aftershock of massed salvos of thermoplasma weapons and fusion bombs had torn into the planet's atmosphere. The thin layer of fragile sky was broken, and the damage was irreversible. No untainted breath of Calth's air would remain, as each new dawn brought it closer to death. Amid the flames, Lieutenant Olin wondered if he would live to meet the next sunrise. Like his men, Olin was born on Espandor, which, along with Calth, was one of many worlds in the Ultramar Coalition. And, like them, he had shared the desire to stand in defense of his Imperium and his Emperor. Olin wore the sigils of the Aquila and of Ultramar with pride. While he did not have the fortitude to have become an Astartes of the Ultramarines, he did his part nonetheless. And somehow, even in the darkest of days during the battles of the Great Crusade, Olin had never been in fear for his life. He did not consider this arrogance. It was only that he had never faced an enemy so powerful that it could not be defeated by Ultramar courage. At least, Not until this day. Olin had never faced an Adeptus Astartes in battle, and there had never been cause to consider that such a thing might even occur. The mere thought of it was foolish. That a single space marine might rebel against his liege lord was impossible to comprehend, and to suggest that an entire legion, or even a primarch, could turn upon the Emperor for their own glory. If any of his troopers had said such a thing, Olin's laughter would have drowned them out. The only laughter now came from their killers. When the word-bearers arrived, they carried destruction with them. Olin saw hundreds of men die in that first barrage. He saw ultramarines, weapons slung as they moved to greet the surprise arrival of their kinsmen, slaughtered where they stood in a flash of treachery. Ultramar's finest warriors, human and Astartes alike, reeled beneath a blow that struck from nowhere. They scattered across Calth in disarray, even as Lorgar's sons tore into the planet and set it to the torch, as if the whole world and every living thing on it were to be some vast burnt offering. The last contact Olin's unit had came from an armored patrol moving north toward Numinous, the capital. The tank crews told the troopers of forces regrouping in the cavern cities, places where they might survive in the souring of Calth's atmosphere, beneath miles of rock and steel. And so Olin and his troops broke out, intent on a fast march across the plains of Dera to the caves. It was a good plan. It had only failed when the monsters came. They boiled out of the icy gloom, rising from their concealment among the ruins of a burning starport. Olin had fought aliens, and these were no strain of Xenos that he could recall. They were rippling, changing things that hooted and barked, dragging clawed tentacles and bearing lamprey mouths. They drooled venoms that melted men, glared with orchards of eyes that froze your heart with a look. And some of them, the worst of them, seemed in part to resemble human beings, but seen through a hellish lens of madness and horror. As they came again, he thought of a word that few would ever speak in these secular days of human empire. A word he had once heard his late grandfather utter in a moment of senility, or, perhaps, clarity. Demon. In his prime, the old man had been a starship rating, and in the madness of warp space, he had glimpsed secrets that had followed him to the grave. Before young Olin's eyes, he had died a little just to say that word. Surveying the dwindling charge on his las pistol with grim understanding, Olin knew that he would very soon be joining his elder. The creatures advanced, and he gathered the last of his strength, casting around to his troops. Every shot counts! Make them pay for all they take! The nightmare spawn ripped into the troopers like a hurricane, cutting them down, eating them raw. Olin's gun ran red hot in his hand, but they did not drop. The largest of them brayed and screamed as they feasted on the fallen, and little by little the soldiers were forced into a collapsing ring as their number diminished. Then, from above, deliverance arrived on wings of grey steel. A Stormbird dropship, falling from the fiery clouds as if it were some great eagle, cast a shadow over the fight, turning in place as spears of white flame held it aloft. Olin's attention was seized for a brief moment. The ship was clearly an Astartes craft, and yet, try as he might, he could not recognize the livery. It was neither the deep arterial red of the traitor word-bearers, nor the striking blue of the Ultramarines. It was the color of ghosts. A brass leaf hatch snapped open, and from it fell a giant figure in armor the same shade as the Stormbird. As the craft powered away, the hulking warrior landed with a thunderous impact, killing a handful of the fanged monsters with the force of it. Olin saw a shimmer of light on a vast sword as tall as a man as the grey figure drew it from the scabbard on his back. Then, with a black enameled bolt gun in his other hand, the warrior threw himself into the melee. The sword rose and fell, rose and fell. The bolter crashed, each hammering discharge blasting the freakish creatures into gobbets of ragged, bleeding matter. As one, the bestial things turned on the warrior, sensing where the greatest threat to them lay. But this was no soldier, no common man. The figure in grey-white ceramite was an Adeptus Astartes, and he strode through the ranks of his enemies as an angel of death. In his wake, there were no screams. He left nothing but clean kills, thinning the lines of the monsters as they hurled themselves at him. Olin called out orders to his troops and bid them to support the warrior's fight, but he did not need it. Alone, he did what more than a dozen soldiers had perished attempting. He won. When it was over, the warrior advanced on them, and Olin could not help but draw back. He had seen Astartes on the field of battle many times, but never this close. Never like this. Looming over him, the emerald lenses of a scowling battle helmet measuring him with cold intent. The Astartes gave his sword a cursory flick to shake off the tainted blood marring the blade, and returned it to the scabbard. Olin saw a word in high Gothic burned into the metal before it disappeared out of sight. Libertas. You are in command here. It was not a question. Olin gave a stiff nod, tightening his grip on his las pistol. He was afraid to attempt to holster the weapon, for fear the Astartes might think any sudden motion was an attack, and react in kind. I need information, Lieutenant. Of course. You have our gratitude. Are you here as part of a reinforcement detail, or...? The warrior held up a hand to silence him. The 21st Company of the Ultramarines, under the command of Brother Captain Ericon Gaius. You will tell me where to find them. The Astartes did not raise his voice, and yet Olin's hand was already beckoning to the squad's Vox Tech before he realized he was obeying the order. He halted, hesitating. Can you tell us what is happening? The word bearers, they attacked us. The signals we have intercepted. People are saying that Lorgar's warriors have turned against the Emperor. As he said it out loud, the full horror of the situation finally struck Olin, and he shivered. It is worse than you know. Now, where is Captain Gaius? The lieutenant gave up the data. The 21st Company had last been sighted on the western outskirts of Numinous, and after a moment to glance over Olin's fragmentary data map, the Astartes favored him with a terse nod and walked away. Abruptly, Olin realized he was leaving them behind. Sir, wait! Something about the Astartes and his armor had sounded a wrong note in the lieutenant's mind, and as he looked on him again, he saw why. The warrior's war gear bore an ornate cuirass dressed in brass and gold. Across his chest was the head of a fierce eagle, and rising up behind his helm was a heavy plate of armor that was cut into another raptor shape. But what seemed strange was the absence of all other detail. Each of the legions of the Adeptus Astartes bore their colors proudly, and carried the symbol of their brotherhood on the pauldron of their armor. This one had none. Aside from a few flashes of dark-colored trim, his armor was a uniform stone gray from helm to boot, bereft of iconography. Who are you? The Astartes halted. Can you tell me that? Before you go, at least let me know the name and legion of the warrior who saved our lives. For a moment, the Astartes paused. Then he reached up and removed his helmet. A pale, patrician face, shorn and scarred, looked back at Olin with ancient, troubled eyes. My name is Nathaniel Garrow, and I am a Legion of One. The Ultramarines of the 21st had been dug in for days, and if truth were told, they were now a company in name only. They had been at the forefront of the first Word-Bearer assault, and it had been their sufferance to witness the deaths of too many battle brothers. The captain, hero of the Hadir uprising, Gaius the Strong, Gaius the Unflinching, had rallied them in the face of the brutal losses. With words and deeds, he led them into the fray, and they claimed back in blood a price from the traitors. But not enough. Not yet enough. Now they were here, cut off from contact with their kinsmen, holding one of the railroad approaches to Numinous City, waiting for this new war to reach out to them once again. Brother Rubio took a moment to shift his stance. On the captain's orders, he had allowed his catalepsian node neural implant to dismiss the need for sleep, standing watchful and immobile among the lines of makeshift barricades. Before him, highways of steel rail reached away, some threading out across the landscape, others vanishing into underground passages. The rails were part of the infrastructure of Kalth's society, connecting their network of cities both above the earth and below. Behind him, a wide, yawning tunnel mouth bored into a shield wall of sheer black rock, and far past it lay the capital. The remnants of the 21st Company stood astride a path that any foe would have to take if they were intent on the capture of Numinous. And the foe had tried. They began with massed forces of human soldiers, cultists gathered by the word-bearers from distant worlds, whipped into a kill frenzy and set loose against the Astartes. These slaves called themselves the Brotherhood of the Knife, and for all their ill discipline, they were many. The killing ground beyond the line of the barricades was carpeted with their bodies. Corpses clad in hooded robes that recalled monastic figures of old idolatry, their burned skin bearing ritualistic tattoos of lines and stars. The Ultramarines had culled them, cutting them down as they ran heedless into the guns of the Astartes, trampling their fallen into the bloody mud. The attack had been broken, but not without its cost. Rubio glimpsed movement and inclined his head. His commander emerged from the shadows of an overturned cargo hauler. Brother. Captain Gaius beckoned him from his post. It's time. Someone must stand watch, sir. Suddenly, Rubio felt a tightness in his chest, a regret. Gaius's face reflected a shared moment of sorrow, his breath curling from his lips in a thin wisp of vapor. Someone will, but first we must pay our brother his due. Rubio gave a solemn nod and shouldered his bolter, falling in to follow the captain deeper into the tunnel, where the glow of loom globes cast pools of weak yellow light. Surrounded by a circle of his kinsmen, Brother Miles lay at rest. The apothecary's white armor, stark in contrast to the deep blue war gear of the warriors standing about him, was marred by streaks of blood. The wound that killed him was an angry rip across his torso, the gift of a cultist who had broken the line and destroyed himself using a vest packed with impact charges. Miles was the most recent of them to perish, and his death had come without warning. The apothecary had been a man of great character and good humor, a friend to all. His loss cut the warriors of the 21st as keenly as every one that had come before. For Ultramar, and for duty, for past, and for future, for Terra, and the Emperor. No brother falls forgotten. Gaius said the words he had repeated many times, and then with care applied the reductor to Miles' corpse, reverently extracting the progenoid gene seed glands that would be carried back to the ultramarine fortress on the crag. There to be added to the Legion's store of genetic material, the bequest of the next generation of Astartes. In this way, Milis would live on. But at this moment, all Rubio could see was death and darkness. Silently, he made his farewell to his comrade, and cursed the sons of Lorgar once again for their perfidy. When he looked up, Rubio found Captain Gaius watching him intently. The captain spoke to them all.
Kinsman, we are being tested. We cannot know what madness has overcome Lorgar. We do not know the fate of our brothers and our Primarch. But what we do know is duty.
He gestured around.
Our duty is to hold this approach to the city, to deny it to the enemy. These were Guliman's last words to us. Miles gave his life in service of that command, and if called, then so shall we.
Inwardly, Rubio seethed with anger. His fury was directionless, railing at the mindless insanity of the suicidal cultists, the traitorous word-bearers, even at himself, for his failure to protect his battle brother. But he was an ultramarine, and to speak openly of such things was beneath him. Instead, he kept his silence and nodded. Garrow moved swiftly across the scarred wilderness, his gene-enhanced lungs drawing in the cold, corrupted air of Kalth's dying day. In the distance, he saw the glitter of habitat towers and hive stacks rising over cliffs of dark stone. Numinous City reached as high into the sky as it did into the caverns below the planet's surface. Yet even as the warrior approached it, he saw the once proud minarets wreathed in plasma fires, and the bright pinpricks of long-range laser bombardment. As he walked, Garrow wondered how long the battle would rage across Kalth. The extremist word-bearers had picked a fight here that would test them to the limit. The Ultramarines were no easy target. They were among the most finely drilled and highly competent among the Adeptus Astartes. On any battleground, a firm match for the ruthless zeal of the Primarch Lorgar's warriors. On Kalth, Horus Lupercal's civil war was raging in microcosm. But, like the larger conflict writ across the stars, there could be no certainty as to how it might play out. Still, the fate of Kalth was not why Nathaniel Garrow had come to this world. His mission here served another purpose. How long had it been since Nathaniel had stood under the Earthlight and been given his commands? There, in the gallery of the Somnus Citadel, cradled in the stark, airless landscape of Luna. It seemed like forever. All about him, the grey terrain of the Sea of Crises glowed monochrome, draining color from everything. Terra's moon had become Nathaniel Garrow's prison, his birth world fated to be forever in sight, but beyond his reach. How long had he been here? The days blurred into one another, and without purpose they were torture. He frowned, ignoring a twist of pain from the augmetic leg that was still a recent addition to his flesh.
Where the hell am I going?
Somewhere out there in the black and fathomless void, the war was raging. But for Garrow and his men, there was only the silence of the Citadel. It had no end to it. With each turning of the world, he felt as if it were dissolving a fresh measure of his soul. To an Astartes, this enforced inaction was poison.
Battle Captain Garrow.
He turned to the sound of the voice. A hooded figure had silently crossed the chamber, and Garrow was certain he had been alone here only a moment before. He knew the voice, however, and that explained it all.
Great Malcador,
I came at your summons, Lord Sigillite. How may I serve you? Malcador gave a thin smile that cut through Garrow's rote greeting.
I recall that the last time we met here, you were angry with me. I saw the colors of your fury like an aurora, strong and bright.
Can you blame me? Garrow stiffened. I crossed the light years in a stolen warship, faced the guns of my own battle brothers, and for what? To bring you warning of treachery you had already foreseen. To face distrust and suspicion. Forgive me if I remain in ill humor. The Sigillite's smile lengthened, and Garrow felt the gossamer trace of a psychic touch passing over him. After the Emperor himself, Malkador was the most powerful human psyker alive, and to be stood before him was to be as glass. Nothing could be hidden. Garrow faced it and did not flinch. He had nothing to hide. Malkador saw the truth of him. Once a company captain of the 14th Legionis Astartes, the Death Guard under the Primarch Montarian, Garrow had become a man lost. His oaths remained unbroken, while those around him had been shattered. When his master and his kinsmen declared their loyalty to the renegade Warmaster Horus, it was Garrow who had dared to refuse. Garrow, who made a desperate voyage across space to carry word of this terrible sedition back to the Emperor.
You have paid a high price for your fealty, Nathaniel. Your legion, your brotherhood, the lives of your men. Yet you still remain.
I am the Emperor's Astartes. The answer came without hesitation. I could not turn from that. The Sigillite nodded.
But without a purpose, an Astartes is nothing. A warrior without a war is no warrior at all.
Despite himself, Garrow felt his annoyance returning. I have a purpose. Whatever force drives us, be it human will, fate, or some higher power, I know that. There is reason for me to live. Just as there was for me to bring the warning, to stand alone as my kindred took rebellion to their hearts. He gestured around. But as long as you keep me corralled here, you deny me the chance to find it. When Malkador met his gaze, Garrow felt a chill pass through him, like a shadow cast across his soul. In that moment, it came to him why the Sigillite had suddenly demanded his presence here.
We shall see what purpose you will serve. You are Astartes indeed, and that will never alter. But you are a Death Guard no longer. You are a ghost. A figure that stands between light and dark, trapped amid the grey. And I have need of such a man.
Then task me, Sigillite. I ask only for that, and nothing more. Let me fulfill my purpose. And for his sins, Malkador gave Nathaniel Garrow exactly what he had asked for. In his mind's eye, Rubio saw the moment of his battle brother's death. In the rush of Kalth's howling winds, he heard the echo of Miles as the apothecary called out a warning, a heartbeat before the crashing detonation that tore him open, ending his life. Rubio had seen the cultist coming, caught sight of him just as his bolter ran dry. In those precious seconds, as he raced to slam a fresh magazine home into the breach and bring it to bear, he had been too slow to save his friend. The moment burned like a livid brand, acid guilt searing him. The tragedy of it was, he could have stopped the cultist, bolt gun or not. Rubio could have done it with a thought. But such a thing was now forbidden. Once, in what seemed like another life, Rubio had been more than this. Now he wore the sigils of a tactical line Astartes, but before he had proudly carried upon his shoulder plate the skull and scroll device of a ranked codicea, the badge of a psyker warrior in service to the Ultramarines. Once the company of Rubio and his kind had been feared across every battlefield, and even his fellow Astartes had taken pause at his presence. Once the power of the warp had coursed from his fingertips, the actinic glow of telekinetic lightning laying waste to the enemies of mankind. Countless foes blasted apart by the sheer power of his mind. But not now. Not since the gathering at Nicaea, and the passing of the Emperor's decree absolute. Many said that those with Rubio's gift, or as some would have it, his curse, were only one step removed from sorcerers. Their minds opened doors to ruinous powers ready to reach from the darkness and consume them. And at Nicaea, out of fear or of jealousy, those voices had finally held sway. At a conclave of his Primarch sons, the Emperor of Mankind had ordered that all psychers among the legions of the Astartes, every epistolary, codicier, and librarian, were to abstain from the use of their abilities and return to line duty with their battle brothers. Rubio was faithful and obedient, and he did as he was commanded, giving up his psychic hood and his force sword. His former status nulled, he accepted redeployment and did not question. At least, not at first, but now. Now the death of Miles set him at odds. Rubio knew with every fiber of his being that the apothecary would still be alive if only he had been given full rein to use his preternatural powers. And how many others, he wondered. What deaths might have been avoided, what adversaries felled, but for the might of a psyker.
Are you troubled, brother?
Rubio looked up from his introspection to find Captain Gaius standing over him.
It is nothing of import, sir.
It was a poor lie, and his captain saw through it.
I know where your thoughts are, my friend. I also know that you are one of the finest ultramarines it has been my privilege to command, no matter which of your talents are applied.
Gaius placed a hand on his shoulder.
Courage and honor, Rubio. We follow the words of the Emperor and Guliman unto death.
Courage and honor, brother captain, Rubio repeated, but the axiom rang hollow in his ears.
It is only that I...
His words were cut off by a sudden cry of alarm from one of the other Astartes out of the barricades. An intruder had been sighted, a warrior approaching their lines with weapon drawn. Gaius broke into a run, and Rubio went after him, bringing up his bolter to the ready.
To arms! Prepare for enemy contact!
In the dimness, Rubio saw the unmistakable bulk of a figure in power armor, moving toward them with steady purpose. The Ultramarines had suffered badly at the betrayal of the Word-Bearers, and they would not be so trusting a second time. But as the figure fell into range of the light from the barricade's glow spheres, Rubio saw not the dark, brazen livery of the traitors, but armor the shade of a storm cloud.
Astartes, but he bears no legion's colors.
With a whip-crack gesture, Gaius had his men take aim, and he called out.
In the Emperor's name, stand to and state your intentions.
Slowly, the figure in grey shouldered his bolter and surveyed the line of Ultramarines, each of them a heartbeat from gunning him down. Captain Gaius, you're a difficult man to find. Heedless of the weapons ranged against him, the Astartes walked boldly through the barricades until he was face to face with the Ultramarine commander. It was all Rubio could do not to let a breath of his psychic senses reach out and take the measure of this new arrival. And perhaps the warrior sensed that, as his helmet turned, the fathomless eye lenses scanning the codicier intently.
I will have your name and rank.
As you wish, although I'll warrant you will learn nothing from it. I am Nathaniel Garrow, and as for rank, I have none.
Then what are you?
Rubio studied Garrow for a long moment.
You stand before us in denuded armor, bereft of insignia, and this on a battleground where the enemy were once men we called kindred. You court death, Garrow, like some ancient knight-errant.
When he spoke again, there was a dry smile in Garrow's voice.
That's as good a title as any, brother. If you are not a son of Ultramar, or one of Lorgar's traitor whelps, then why are you here on Calth?
Gaius eyed the intruder coldly.
I am in command here, and you will answer me.
I do not dispute your command, but the higher authority here is mine. See, He bowed slightly, and by the glow of the looms, a hidden rune across the shoulders of his plate became visible. A stylized eye, scribe encoded into the atomic lattice of the ceramite sheath by meson beam. The sigil of Malkador. Rubio knew the symbol. They all did. It was the personal mark of the Regent of Terra, and those who bore it were proxy to the Emperor's closest confidant. The rune would allow this Garrow to go where he wished, and as the instrument of Malkador's will, to countermand any order, even that of a ranked officer. The sharp intake of breath from Captain Gaius told Rubio that his commander shared his thoughts. My mission on Calth is at the behest of the Sigillite and the Emperor, Lord Captain. That is all you need know, for now. Gaius's steady gaze did not waver.
So be it. But I warn you not to interfere with my mission. That mark of yours will be no shield to you when the turncoats attempt to breach our lines.
The captain stalked away, and Rubio found Garrow's gaze on him once more. You are Brother Codicia Tylos, Rubio?
I am only Brother Rubio, nothing more.
As you wish. The stark white light reflecting from the lunar surface made Malkador's face seem ghostly and serene. He gestured with one hand.
Kneel, Nathaniel. Let the adept do his duty.
As you wish. Garrow frowned as he bent down on one knee, holding the helmet to his chest, looking the Sigillite in the eye. The Mechanicum adept leaned in, and the Astartes smelled the tang of acrid biolubricants and machine oils. Heat flared over the bare skin on his neck as fat yellow sparks leapt and sizzled. He heard the grinding hiss of the meson lance as it cut into the plates of his armor, the particle stream layering levels of infinitely complex nanoscale circuitry into the ceramite.
With this mark, you swear fealty to me. You will obey my orders without question, to the bitter end.
The warrior's eyes narrowed. I will obey, as long as it serves the Emperor.
It will.
He felt the Psyker's mind press into his, and Garrow steeled himself, even as he knew he would not be able to resist the Sigillite's harrowing inner gaze.
I see the fury again, Nathaniel. But now it is directed outward. It burns in you. The need to seek vengeance on your traitorous brothers. To give censure to Typhon. To challenge even your Primarch Mortarion. For daring to believe he might turn you.
Aye. He bit out the words, holding the cold anger in his heart. I will not deny it. Malkador gave a grim nod.
The time for vengeance will come. But this day, hear my orders. Hold your enmity in check. Your mission comes first.
The Astartes accepted this without comment. Just as before, on the deck of the starship Eisenstein, when he sacrificed everything he knew to carry the warning of Horus's treachery to Terra. The mission was his first, his only concern. But now, if history was to recur, once more it would be his lot to play this role. He would do it willingly, in the Emperor's name. The scent of superheated ceramite was sharp in the air, and Garrow listened to the crackle of the cooling brand as the adept backed away. The mark was made, the deed done. Whatever came next, he was committed to it. With care, Malkador drew Libertas from its sheath. Garrow saw him strain to hold it steady. The weapon was not meant for human hands. The Sigillite pointed the tip of the mighty weapon at the floor.
The oath, then.
Garrow placed his bare hand on the naked blade and nodded. Now he had crossed the point of no return.
Nathaniel Garrow, do you accept your role in this? Will you dedicate yourself to my orders and put aside all other claims upon your honor? Do you pledge yourself in this oath of moment?
By this matter and this weapon, I so swear.
In his name.
The sigillite raised an eyebrow at his choice of words, but made no remark upon them. Garrow took back his sword and bowed low, catching sight of himself in the towering windows. As good as it felt to be in his armor and eagle cuirass after so long, it was still strange to see its new colors. Gone was the old Death Guard livery. There instead was a featureless ghost gray. It stirred an odd emotion in Garrow's chest, one that he could not quantify.
What would you have me do? You will leave the Somnus Citadel and travel the galaxy to gather a group of men. Astartes from across all the legions, both loyalist and traitor. You will find them and bring them to me. You will do this and leave no mark where you pass.
For what cause? Malcador turned his back on him and looked out at the blue-white orb of terror, raised high in the lunar night.
For the future, Nathaniel.
Dawn was coming, but it would be a sunrise like no other over Kalth's frigid, frost-rimed landscape. Through the night, oxygen levels had continued to drop.
Will this turn out to be a waiting party?
Fear remained to shroud the planet. Soon it would be a wasteland. All native flora and fauna suffocated and dead. Only the war would live on. Silent inside the seals of his war gear, Brother Rubio watched the warrior Garrow prepare his bolter for combat with swift and careful motions. It was clear he knew the weapon intimately, and from the numerous honor lines acid etched into the frame and grip, it had seen many battles at his side. Garrow made a pretense at keeping to himself, but Rubio saw through that. The Astartes was observing everything around him, his attention returning time and again to Captain Gaius as the officer moved among his men. Was Garrow here for him? Had Gaius transgressed in some way, and now this stranger arrived from out of the darkness to claim the brother captain? Rubio had no answers to these questions, but he was certain of one thing. Nathaniel Garrow had come to Kalth to judge them. A dark impulse in the depths of his mind stirred at the thought of being found unworthy by an agent of the sigillite. And yet, another inner voice dared to ask by what right this man could put the Ultramarines of the 21st to the question. What conviction there was in Rubio had been severely tested in the last few days, and it was close to breaking point. It would be simple to gaze into him, he thought. Only the most infinitesimal use of his prohibited witch sight. Just to see. To know if Garrow is what he appears to be. In that moment, for one fraction of a second, Rubio's iron concentration wavered, and something slipped into his psyche. He stiffened, and suddenly, a vision. The real world.
Yeah, we're now waiting for the last guy to arrive. We had to replace one guy that went or disconnected suddenly.
And reordering themselves. He tried to reel back and shutter the sensation away, but it was too late. The vision was upon him, his silent Codicia's power engulfing him for one brief instant. And in that crystalline moment he saw battle, red in blade and black in shell. And there, fallen upon the icy ground, Gaius. Rubio reached out, his blood roaring in his ears, desperate to reach his commander, to save him before his life was crushed from his flesh. Rubio! The Ultramarine gasped and shook off the moment, the taint of psychic energy dissipating faster than it had arrived. He cursed his brief lapse of control and rose, waving Garrow away, but the other Astartes strode closer. Did the grey-armored warrior know? Would Rubio's moment of distraction cost him dearly? He struggled to process what he had witnessed in his flash of foresight. The captain struck down, dying, dead. No, it has not come to pass. He shrugged off the fragments of the vision, denying it. He had shown weakness, that was all. A moment of lost focus, and it had been enough for the warp to poison him. The Emperor's decree was not to be questioned. Brother, do you not see them coming? Quickly, to your gun! See what? But the words had barely left his lips before the first report of mortar fire shrieked through the air and blasted a rock-crete piling into shrapnel. The enemy returns, and in greater number. Make ready for battle. The captain. Rubio cast around, searching for his commander, and found him. Gaius stood atop a barrier across the tunnel mouth, his battle cloak flaring open behind him, his bolt pistol aimed and ready. The captain raised the giant mailed glove of his power fist and punched the sky. Hold the line, my kinsmen, for courage and honor! Bolt fire and las beams cut into the rails of the stony ground as the dawn finally broke. Rubio raced into the fray to meet the hordes of the enemy. Garrow was at the Ultramarine's side, his silver blade cutting arcs through the air to cleave chests and take heads. The masses of the Brotherhood of the Knife, clad in makeshift rebreather masks and pitiful remnants of armor, died in their droves. Gaius led the way, at the very tip of the arrowhead that was the Astartes blockade. The cultists, screaming and shivering in the frigid cold, were pushed on to greater and greater heights of bloodthirst through madness and fear. Their masters among the word-bearers had driven them into this mad tumult, and their only respite would be to die choking the guns of the loyalist Space Marines. Captain Gaius fought deep, as an army of insane zealots rode over him in a wave. There were so many of them that by sheer weight of numbers they toppled Rubio's commander from his feet, slamming into the steel rails crisscrossing the ground. For long seconds, the heap of screaming, murderous cultists heaved and shivered, and finally exploded outwards as Gaius burst free of their suffocating grip. Every hammer blow strike from his
I'm just gonna grab me some chocolate milk, PRB.
Rubio stepped to his post and followed his captain's example, ignoring the torrent of pain that lanced through his skull in echo of his vision. He tried to force it away, ignore it. He did not succeed. Garrow fought hard, the lone warrior's grey armor now smeared with blood and smoke dirt. He was possessed of keen, intense focus, and every stroke of his sword, every bolt shell expended, was placed where it would do the maximum amount of damage. Rubio saw light glitter off the brass eagle head on Garrow's ornate chestplate, and once again wondered who this man might be. He fought with the poise and cold lethality of a veteran. Then he spun in place and stabbed out with his sword toward a ridge in the middle distance. There! This is only the precursor! Enemy incoming! Close the line! The Ultramarine heard a sound like the grinding of gigantic break-toothed gears, and from behind the ridgeline emerged a great construct of steel and cables, armor and brass. It clattered across the stone on four jointed, piston-hissing legs, crab-walking as it crushed the unwary in its path. An angular turret thrust up from the center of the mast, overloaded with gun cupolas and fearsome blades protruding in a spine-like formation. It had a main cannon made of black iron, the yawning muzzle dripping with penitent chains. The machine moved like it was alive. Its flanks arterial red, dressed in the ebon detailing of the word-bearers. It tainted the ground underfoot with every heavy step. As one, the Ultramarines turned their fire upon it, and if anything, the attack seemed to enrage the mechanism. Rubio watched as it rocked forward and broke into a skittering run, far faster than something of such bulk should ever have moved. Mass reactive bolt shells, plasma rounds, and short-range missile impacts all found their mark on the war machine, ripping into it, but on it came, catching a fire, bearing down on the central barricade, and the captain of the 21st. Gaius! Rubio's warning split the air, but too late. Things fell into place. Too late, he saw the moment unfolding once again. Battle. Red.
Oh, they're finally
black
here.
in shell. He broke off and threw himself into a heedless, headlong charge, swatting aside any enemy that dared to block his path. He had to stop it. He knew what was coming, and he had to stop it. Gaius's helmet turned and, as the captain registered Rubio's cry, saw him coming. But then the battle engine's cannons spoke, and Rubio was ripped from the ground by the near impact. He tumbled and spun, landing hard with a bone-shaking crash that brought the taste of copper to his lips. He tried to rise, and there before him, he saw a metallic leg collide with his captain's chest and ram him down. Gaius's armor cracked with a sound like the snapping of bones, and blood spattered across the rail lines in wet splashes of color, freezing where it fell. Garrow's teeth ground behind the forbidding mask of his helmet, and he
Come on! Start already.
the life of another loyal slave.
Nice.
It howled and grumbled as it half stumbled on legs damaged by sustained fire. One metal limb was hanging lifeless from oil-spitting hinges. But the construct still fought on, returning chugs of heavy cannonade towards the defenders around the tunnel mouth. It reared up, and the Astartes caught sight of Brother Rubio as he fought to drag the captain's battered body into cover. The construct hooted and went for him, intent on ending the Ultramarine's life as brutally as his captain's. No, snarled Garrow, and he bounded from a collapsed marble column, boots crunching on broken stones as he marshaled his strength to leap high. The warrior in storm-dark armor led with his sword and landed with a resonant clang atop the traitor engine's turret. It rocked and twisted like a bear attacked by a wolf, trying to dislodge him. Garrow spun the length of Libertas around his gauntlets and plunged the point of the power sword into the apex of the turret, where a screaming demonic mask glared out with eyes of burning black. Oily fluids jetted from the savage cut, and the machine shook, almost as if it were in agony. Ultramarines from the company's Devastator squads were closing. Heavy las cannons, plasma weapons, and multi-melters in their mailed fists. His close-quarter attack was enough to distract the machine, giving Rubio time to get clear and the Devastators the moment they needed.
Kill this thing!
Garrow shouted into his vox, struggling to hold on.
Do it now!
An inferno of white heat, las beams, and rocket strikes engulfed the traitor engine, and it recoiled. The Astartes heard an echoing rattle that was almost a screech, before the quadruped tank finally threw him off in its shuddering death throes. Garrow landed hard, still clutching his sword, and rolled behind a slab of rockcrete as the machine met its end. The detonation broke the lines of the few cultists still standing, and those not executed by bolt fire from Rubio's kinsmen died from the force of the explosive shockwave. As Garrow pulled himself to his feet, silence fell, the dead air leaden and threatening. He took a moment to climb atop the remains of the shattered barricade where Captain Gaius had briefly stood. From this vantage point, Garrow could see out across the ridgeline to where the next wave of the enemy was massing. The optics in his helmet picked out targets at a distance, matching silhouettes to known threat vectors. Word-bearers. The army of the Primarch Lorgar, his most dedicated warrior fanatics, and until recently, men considered kindred battle brothers under the aegis of the Emperor of Mankind. Cold, repellent rage rose in Garrow's chest as he beheld them. Was there no end to the spread of traitors' rot through the legions of the Adeptus Astartes? The sons of Horus, the World Eaters, the Emperor's children, even his own Death Guard, all had taken the turncoat path against the will of the Emperor. Against his divine will. And now the word-bearers would be counted among the renegades. damned forever for their rebellion, their betrayal marked in the blood of the Ultramarines. His aspect grim, Garrow stepped down and turned away. They were coming, and in a force far greater than the remnants of the 21st Company could muster. Gaius's men would die defending the tunnel to Numinous, and the route to the city would be lost. It was inevitable. But it was not his concern. Garrow's objective lay elsewhere. Brother Rubio's head was bowed over the body of Captain Gaius as Garrow approached. The Ultramarine crossed his heavy ceramite gauntlets over his chest in the sign of the Imperial Aquila.
Damn, I do crit heal a lot, feels like.
A balled fist to his chest. Rubio glanced at him, and Garrow imagined he felt the warrior's angry eyes glaring out through the ruby lenses of his helmet.
My captain is dead. He gave his life with nobility.
Aye. Garrow nodded. That he did. But you could have prevented this. Rubio reacted as if he had been struck, stiffening in shock.
You dare?
I know what you are, brother. What you are capable of. I know what you once were before Nicaea, before you gave up your hood and your blade. A psyker. Garrow gestured at the corpse. You could have mind-spoken to him. You might even have been able to shield Gaius. Yet you did not. Rubio's manner shifted, and he advanced on the other Astartes.
I have my orders. I will not challenge the decree.
And yet, even as he spoke, Garrow heard the conflict churning beneath the surface of Rubio's words. The Ultramarine was caught between bonds of loyalty to brethren and company, and his oath to Primarch and Emperor. What torment it was to know that one had been sacrificed.
What? He only has 1500 hit points.
Garrow knew that pain only too well.
My captain is dead. Whatever you wanted with him, knight-errant, you came too late.
I didn't come to Calth for Gaius. I came for you, Tylos Rubio, under orders from Malcador the Sigillite. He has commanded me to gather a host of warriors from across the legions and bring them to the Imperial Palace. You are the first. And if my mission is to be fulfilled, we must leave now. Rubio's anger ebbed, and he shook his head, disbelieving.
What you ask is impossible.
Not so. Garrow mirrored his gesture. Time is against us, and we must move quickly. If the word-bearers launch their attack, we will be trapped here. I need only transmit a machine call signal to summon my Stormbird. We will recover to my ship, and then...
No! No! You would have me leave the side of my sworn battle brothers in their darkest hour. I refuse.
It is the Sigillite's command. His word is the Emperor's word. The other Astartes was silent for a long moment.
The Sigillite's command be damned. You give me no recourse, Garrow. And so, on my honor as a son of Macragge, I choose to defy it. Even if it means I will perish here, even if you color me a rebel like Lorgar's turncoats, I defy it.
Garrow looked down at the sword in his hand. The impassive visage of his battle helmet reflected in the sheen of the adamantine blade. The fire in the Ultramarine's heart burned strong, and the other warrior felt the echo of it in himself. If their roles had been reversed, Rubio's words would have been his own. He could find no fault with them.
Then I choose to stand with you.
We will embrace defiance together. Shoulder to shoulder, they met the advance of the traitor Astartes with a sound like unleashed thunder. The absolute ferocity of the assault was a shocking, brutal thing, breaking in a wave of fire and blood across the barricades and the dug-in lines of the defenders. The word-bearers threw themselves into the attack with a mad fervor that outstripped even the crazed offensive of the cultist hordes. Every Ultramarine's gun was discharged, but for each of them, there were 5 times that number of Lorgar's fanatic warriors, and the punishing momentum of their onslaught tore through the barriers, shattering the lines and riding forward in a surge of blackened armor. The word-bearers had always been known for their extremist militant behaviors. During the years of the Great Crusade to reunite the lost colonies of humankind, many worlds that had fallen under the shadow of the 17th Legion had
Hello, John. How are you doing?
Those who did not pay proper obeisance to the Emperor were punished mercilessly. So much so that the Master of Mankind had personally rebuked their Primarch Lorgar, chastising
I'm now healing in a dungeon.
and violently beyond the pale.
I changed to Holy Spec instead of Retribution, so we can now heal.
That if anything, they had rejected their lord and found a new path, one of cruelty and carnage, fueled by raw hate and new gods. Garrow's blade sang, and his bolter roared as the battle lines crossed and recrossed. He silenced the inner voice that rebelled at the notion of fighting fellow Astartes and bore down, reminding himself that these turncoats were no longer worthy of that name. They were traitors of the most base nature. The armor of the word-bearers, usually a uniform ebon, was deliberately smeared with what could only be human blood. The Legion symbol of a burning book upon their shoulder pauldrons had been daubed over with an 8-point star and the crude rendition of a screaming face. This self-desecration only stoked Garrow's anger higher, and he fought with righteous fury, striking down traitors with sweeps of his sword and blasts of bolt shells. Close by, Rubio released bursts of bolter fire that blasted attacking warriors back in spiraling bloody heaps. But for each man they put down, more took his place. Garrow's gorge rose as he saw a group of word-bearers kill an ultramarine with a hurricane of storm bolters. To his disgust, even
Oh,
when
it's stormy,
fell dead to
with
the ground,
lightning and thunder or stuff like that.
unloading round after round into the twitching mess of the corpse. And as they did so, he heard them laughing. The wicked malice was like nothing Garrow had ever seen from another Astartes. The word-bearers took delight in what they were doing, savoring it. He felt sickened inside. They keep coming. Eyes of terror! Have they brought the whole Legion to fight us? This will not end well, but in his name we will make them pay for every step of their advance. Ave Imperator! Garrow shouted the battle cry and killed another traitor kin, but his words rang hollow. All around, the defenders were running low on ammunition, pacing each shot, making every bolt and beam count, while the word-bearers were wild in their abandon, strafing the barricades and filling the air with the stench of promethium and spent cordite.
Okay.
The press of
Yeah, we had some rain here the past couple of days now,
surge of
and some thunder.
The cry went up among the lines of the Ultramarines. Fall back to the tunnel! Close up and fall back! Garrow followed, silently.
This Flav is a game, and I'm listening to a podcast.
Behind him, the word-bearers shouted their hate and came running.
If you don't like it, just skip.
Rubio beckoned Garrow toward him, and his blood ran cold as he spied a gathering of hulking, angular shapes emerging from amid the howling lines of the traitors. They pushed forward, shouldering their own men aside, bringing up heavy, multi-barreled weapons bristling with firepower. Terminators! In steady, iron limbs,
This game,
the towering, thick-set figures.
it's World of Warcraft,
The mass of any line of stars.
OctoWoW.
Terminator armor lumbered forward, effortlessly dismissing the rain of las bolts and mass reactive shells.
1% of damage dealt is returned as healing. Holy crap.
Rubio ranged around But it quickly became clear that there were not enough heavy weapons to put down the line of steel ceramite leviathans.
Yes, World of Warcraft.
But only for a moment. The line advanced on, breaching
Yeah, this no Stormrot Castle,
delivering a cascade.
I think it's called.
The Terminators tore open every target they chose. Lines of tracer from massed combi bolters and the spinning muzzles of autocannons shredding the bodies of the defenders. Ultramarines fell dead.
And my group only speaks Spanish, basically, so it's hard to communicate with them.
Turned to find Garrow pointing with his sword. We can't hold this line. We have only a few moments before the Terminators enter the tunnel. We must pull back.
To where? Do we keep retreating down this tunnel until we reach the gates of Numinous? We have no cover in here. If we show them our backs, we will be cut down.
He shook his head.
The colors.
I just respect the holy, so I'm the whole healer right now.
Defied one order to perish for another, and your battle brothers along with you. Rubio's face twisted in annoyance.
Damn you. You leave me no
A choice to join a lower level dungeon, so I can get the feeling of healing again.
It is only now that you understand that. Garrow
So am I just waiting for Ember Veil to release so I can try that server.
as they were forced back deeper into the throat of the tunnel by the endless deluge of rounds. What little daylight could enter the wide passageway was lost behind the lumbering shapes of the Terminator.
That's skipping all the mobs, lol.
The black shadows were illuminated by the cruciform muzzle flashes of their guns. Stark light showing scowling
Death Lord Tidebane.
crested with horns and tusks. Rubio heard his comrades screaming as they
I
fled.
can maybe pause the podcast.
It had become an execution.
I think they have new music here.
That's still recharging.
Feel like I crit so much. What? Oh, right. I don't think I would kill this guy earlier. Thought this was some big ass boss, but my brain is a goldfish right now, I guess. I'm also streaming on full screen Flame if you want that instead. Oh, I got a little low on mana there. Okay, this boss can be hard. Or at least it managed to wipe our party when I was here on Turtle. It has a... when it dies, it has a spell that jumps between targets. Or am I mixing it up? Hello Tamara, thank you for watching it.
That's still recharging. I can't cast that yet. I can't cast that yet.
They do talk a lot, but I don't understand anything. Uno cerveza. That's the only thing I know in Spanish, or most used at least. Oops, I was so busy watching his items. Okay, I'm gonna pause the music again.
Not again. No more. I will suffer this. No more!
The Ultramarine let his spent bolter fall from his grip to the floor, and sucked in a shuddering breath, raising his hands before him, curling them into claws. Immediately he felt it. The old familiar crackle of eldritch power dwelling at the base of his skull, twisting and turning like a spear of lightning confined in a bottle. All the cantrips and the memes, the key phrases and thought forms he had cast from his mind after the passing of the decree, all these things he allowed to return to him. The tainted air around Rubio took on a greasy, electric texture, the sense of a force beyond human understanding dancing at the edge of awareness. Rubio saw Garrow giving him the distance he needed. He saw his battle brothers shaking their heads, but it was too late to stop it now. The power was there. It had never left him, following Rubio through his actions like a shadow in the war. It came easily. It was potent, heady, and like his fury, it strained for liberation. Tiny flickers of electric discharge danced between the tips of his fingers as he aimed his hands towards the advancing line of Terminators. Without the shroud of a psychic hood to collimate it, his power would be fierce and hard to control. But Rubio was ready. If he did not do this, they would all die. He knelt and gave his rage its release. The brief storm of psionic discharge swept across the passageway and engulfed the word-bearers, for the first time forcing them to scream in torment. Then, as the power found its level, the mouth of the tunnel above cracked and fractured, breaking under the strain of warp-kissed energy. Like the closing of a set of vast jaws, black stone slammed down, sealing off the passage and burying the Terminators under tons of shattered rock. Garrow offered Rubio his hand, and the Ultramarine took it, pulling himself up from the ground. The Psyker removed his helmet and for the first time looked upon Garrow with his own eyes. The other Astartes mirrored the gesture, and the two warriors measured each other. It is done. The enemy is beaten and this path to Numinous is denied to them. And all it cost me was to defy my Primarch and my Emperor. Your brothers survived. Take that as a reward. Rubio did not answer him. Instead, he moved around the figure in grey and took a step toward the other Ultramarines, who stood in a loose group, tending to their wounded. And then, as one, each of the battle brothers of the 21st Company averted their eyes and turned their backs on him. Rubio had disobeyed a decree absolute, and for that, there was no forgiveness. Garrow drew Libertas, and Rubio spun at the sound of it, fixing him with a furious glare. Are you satisfied? Do you have what you came here for? Not yet. Garrow held the sword out, the point down towards the ground. Place your hand upon the blade. Rubio advanced, his anger towering. You forced me into this. You cost me my brothers, and now you demand an oath? Garrow shook his head slowly. These men are no longer your brothers. You are a ghost. Now place your hand on the blade. At length, Rubio reached out and touched the sword. Garrow gave a grave nod. Tylos Rubio, do you accept your role in this? Will you dedicate yourself to the orders of the Regent of Terror and put aside all other claims upon your honor? Do you pledge yourself in this oath of moment? Something dark, like sorrow, flickered in the warrior's eyes. By this matter and this weapon, I so swear. I can do nothing else. Garrow, Weapon of Fate, by James. Read by Toby Longworth.
Finally, some boots that give intellect.
Those who cannot hear the aria are fated to believe the performers are insane. Lady Elmar Horobinla, the Rapture of Suns, date unknown. Torn by shadows comes the cry. Bleed more, scream the masses. Bleed more. So they do, and they do. But the masses only howl for blood in other shades. Attributed to the remembrancer Ignace Carcassy, early M31. I will say this about him. When we first met, he was like a rock. Unbreakable and stoic, possessed of obdurate resolve and unwilling to compromise. He was not a giant among his brothers, as his Gene father would have been, but still he carried himself in a patrician manner. Respect seemed to come to him as rain to the ground. He earned it with every step he took, every word he uttered, every deed he undertook. I would not have said that to him. He would have thought it hubris, and he never hewed towards such things. It was not in him. It is strange, is it not, that after so many years have passed, after so many terrible events and moments of import between then and now, I recall this thing so clearly. One would think that our meeting might have sunk beneath the weight of the horrors and glories that were to come, but it never has. Why? Call it simplicity. Yes, that will suffice.
Oh, this is the place with the demons.
I perceived clarity. And I must ask you to pause to reflect and consider where my mind was in that instant, and what we had experienced before that point. What we had seen. What we were running from. Above all, what we were afraid of. Then you will understand how exceptional that was. So, you see, something as simple as clarity was a prize that I seized upon with all my might. In our desperation, we who fled had flung ourselves into the Stygian night, had given ourselves fully to faith. Understand that we had no guarantee of survival, and know that with certainty. Death awaited us. We were given only the chance to choose how it would happen, not to forestall it. But then we happened upon them, upon him, guided by voices, by braver souls.
Oh.
The galaxy had not gone mad. Only some of it. Yes, only some of it. No, he showed that there were still some things we could grasp that had not changed. Despite what we had experienced, all loyalty was not gone from the universe. Good and right and true, these ideals did not die that day. Thank the throne. Wounded they were, oh yes. Cut to the quick and bloody indeed. But still alive. Still fighting. He showed us that, affirmed it, and with his actions, he gave us hope.
Did what?
Felt its inexorable approach. We prayed and asked our God Emperor to take us to his side when the
I would lose 20 spirit also.
He had other plans. Instead, he placed this guardian in our path, a warrior who himself was on a journey, seeking an understanding of this new reality. A shepherd who would carry us away from the madness and beyond the reach of evil. For a time, at least. I knew it when that scarred face...
I guess John has enough to worry about the storm. If it's stormy in Florida.
His searching, distant gaze. Let me tell you about him. Close your eyes and listen. Hear his voice through my words. See his deeds in your thoughts. Let me tell you about Nathaniel Garrow. Part 1. The Sword. Chapter 1. Mark of the Sigillite. Calth ablaze. Brothers in arms. All about him, the grey terrain of the Sea of Crises glowed monochrome, draining the colour from everything. Through towering windows of once bright glassaic, pitted and misted by centuries of micrometeorite strikes, the stark beauty of Luna's landscape reflected back a hard, uniform light that seemed to cast no shadows. The illumination gave nowhere to hide. Something in that truth stirred a sense of rightness in Nathaniel Garrow. That was how it should be. But in that truth, there was also an edge of sorrow, a longing that he had, so far, been prevented from addressing. Since his arrival in the solar system aboard the starship Eisenstein, since the conclusion of his calamitous mission to bring a warning to his emperor, Terra's moon had become Garrow's prison in all but name. Hanging there in the black sky, his birth world seemed fated to be forever in sight, but beyond his reach. How long had he been here? The days blurred into one another, and without purpose, they were torture. He frowned, ignoring a twist of pain from his augmetic leg, and glared out into the dark. The bionic limb was a recent addition to his flesh, and in quieter moments Garrow would admit to himself that he still felt ill at ease with the replacement. It was no lie for him to say that he had truly left a part of himself back in the Istvan system, in both flesh and in spirit. Garrow's gaze slipped from Terra's occluded ochre sphere, and he let it be drawn towards the darkness beyond. Somewhere out there, in the black and fathomless void, a newborn war was raging, but for Garrow and the men who had joined him in his mission, there was only the hush of the Somnus Citadel. Here, in the domain of the Sisters of Silence, under his house arrest by any other name, the absolute absence of sound had no end to it. With each turning of the world in that black sky, he felt as if the silence dissolved a fresh measure of his soul. To a legionary, this enforced inaction was poison. How long? The question pressed at his thoughts. How long will I remain here? Until the sky is cut by fire, and the enemy is at the very gate? Battle Captain Garrow. The words came at a low register, barely a whisper, but in the tranquility of the citadel they carried like a crack of thunder. He turned to the sound of the voice. A hooded figure was silently crossing the chamber, and Garrow was certain he had been alone here only a moment before. He knew the voice, however, and that explained it all. Great Malcador? Garrow bowed slightly towards the regent of Terra as the new arrival passed over a floor of abstract black and white tiles. The iron staff in his hand cast a soft glow from the flames that muttered in the basket atop it, flickering with each footfall. And yet, Garrow noted, the regent did not seem to cast any shadow where he walked. I came at your summons, Lord Sigillite, continued the legionary. How may I serve you?
Fuck.
Malkador gave a thin smile that cut through Garrow's rote greeting. There had never been any question, of course, that his summons would not be obeyed. He gestured at the glassy walls. I recall that the last time we met here, you were angry with me. I saw the colors of your fury like an aurora, strong and bright. Garrow's memory kindled a brief echo of that rage, and he stiffened. Can you blame me? I crossed the light years in a stolen warship, faced the guns of my own battle brothers, and for what? To bring you warning of a treachery you had already foreseen. To face distrust and suspicion. Forgive me if I remain in ill humor. The words balanced on the edge of insubordination, and the Sigilite's smile widened. Garrow felt the gossamer trace of a psychic touch passing over him. After the Emperor himself, Malkador was the most powerful human psyker alive, and to be stood before him was to be as glass. Just as the sunlight scoured the lunar surface, leaving nothing hidden, so Garrow faced the telepathic probe and did not flinch. He had nothing to hide. Malkador saw the truth of him. Once a company captain of the 14th Legiones Astartes, the unstoppable death guard under the Primarch Mortarion, Garrow had become a man lost. His oaths remained unbroken, while those around him had been shattered. When his master and his kinsmen declared their loyalty to the renegade warmaster Horus, it was Garrow who had dared to refuse. Garrow, who made a desperate voyage across space to carry word of this terrible sedition back to the Emperor. You have paid a high price for your fealty, Nathaniel. Your legion, your brotherhood, the lives of your men. Yet you still remain. I am the Emperor's hand. The answer came without hesitation. Did Malkador think he wished for some kind of reward for doing his duty? Garrow wanted nothing so trivial. He sought only to return to what he was best at, what he was made for. I could not turn from that, he added. The Sigilite nodded. But without a purpose, a legionary is nothing. A warrior without a war is no warrior at all. Despite himself, Garrow felt his annoyance returning. I have a purpose, he insisted. Whatever force drives us, be it human will, fate, or some higher power, I know that. There is reason for me to live, just as there was for me to bring the warning, to stand alone as my kindred took rebellion to their hearts. He gestured around, no longer able to stand rigid at attention, advancing towards the regent. But as long as you keep me corralled here, you deny me the chance to find it. The moment the words left his mouth, some part of him wanted to call them back. Few could speak in such a way to the Sigilite and not fear chastisement because of it. But it was done, and he meant everything he had said. When Malkador met his gaze, Garrow felt a chill pass through him, like a shadow cast across his soul. In that moment it came to him why the Sigilite had suddenly demanded his presence here. We shall see what purpose you will serve, intoned the great psyker. You are a legionary, indeed, and that will never alter. But you are of the Death Guard no longer. You are a ghost. Malkador put hard emphasis on the word, cutting him with it. You are a figure that stands between light and dark, trapped amid the grey. Garrow found himself nodding. It was true. He had fallen into the cracks of this insurrection, and feared the abyss might swallow him whole. But Malkador's next words offered a lifeline. I have need of such a man. His head snapped up. Then task me, Sigilite. I ask only for that, and nothing more. Let me fulfill my purpose. A slow smile crossed that ancient, thoughtful face. For your sins, Nathaniel Garrow, I will give you exactly...
Oh, what?
He beckoned him with his other hand.
Alright. I had to remove the main chat so I couldn't see the server restart message,
Into the gloom of
I guess.
shadows cast by the curve of a half-furled solar shield. Malkador briefly vanished into the shade like a scrap of cloth sinking into an ocean of ink, and Garrow heard clanking mechanical footfalls across the floor, hissing pistons grinding to a halt. An eyeless humanoid form, far more machines.
Yeah, I noticed. I should probably have the main chat up as well.
The Mars-born had a face made of metal plates and nothing that Garrow could see in the form of sensors. Yet it approached him as if it saw clearly, opening up tool arms and bunches of serpentine mechadendrites in his direction. The Sigillite turned back towards him, and the stark white light reflected from the lunar landscape made Malcador's face seem spectral and serene. He gestured.
Kneel, Nathaniel. Let the adept do his duty.
As you wish. Garrow reluctantly obeyed, frowning as he bent down on one knee, the joints of his bionic limb clicking. He placed his sheathed sword upon the tiled floor.
Hopefully this doesn't mess up the server, whatever they
As
did.
the Mechanicum adept leaned in. The legionary smelled the tang of bitter biolubricants and machine oil. Heat flared over the bare skin on his neck as fat yellow sparks leapt.
Oh, thank you for the follow.
The hiss of a meson lance as it cut into the plates of his armor. The particle stream layering levels of infinitely
I don't have OBS open, so I have to wait and see on the stream.
You swear fealty to me, said Malcolm.
That's rare. People that follow on YouTube usually have everything private, so I don't get to hear that sound often.
Will obey, he countered, as long as it serves the Emperor.
It will.
Garrow felt the Psyker's mind press into his, and he steeled himself, even as he knew he would not be able to resist the Sigillite's harrowing inner gaze.
I see the fury again, Nathaniel.
Malcador cocked his head, studying the play of psychic streams that only he could perceive.
But now it is directed outwards. It burns in you, the need to deliver reprisal to your traitorous brothers. You seek to give censure to your former comrade Callus Typhon, perhaps even to challenge your Primarch Mortarion, for daring to believe he might turn you.
Aye, he bit out the word, holding cold anger in his heart. I will not deny it. Malcador gave a grim nod.
The time for vengeance will come. But this day, hear my orders. Hold your enmity in check. Your mission comes first.
The legionary accepted this without comment. Just as before, on the deck of the starship Eisenstein, when he sacrificed everything he knew to carry the warning of Horus's treachery to Terra.
Wait, what?
First,
I didn't have the pop-up on my vertical stream.
it was his lot to play that same role. He would do it willingly, in the Emperor's name. The lance fell silent, and the scent of superheated ceramite was sharp in the air. Garrow listened to the crackle of the cooling brand as the adept backed away, head bobbing respectfully. The mark was made, the deed done. Whatever came next, he was committed to it. Metal rang on metal, as, with care, Malcador worked to draw the blade Libertas from its sheath.
What?
Garrow saw him strain to hold it steady. The great sword was not meant for human hands. The Sigillite pointed the tip of the mighty weapon at the floor, turning it to present the flat of the blade to the warrior.
The oath, then.
Garrow removed a single cord.
Crap, I had the alert.
With this act, he crossed the point of no return. The Sigillite went on.
Nathaniel Garrow, do you accept your role in this? Will you dedicate yourself to my orders and put aside all other claims upon your honor? Do you pledge yourself?
No, sorry, I didn't see your name because I had the alert above or below the screen. I'll check later.
The Sigillite raised an eyebrow.
If you don't want to say hello in chat.
Rising to the height once more, Garrow took back his sword and bowed low, catching sight of himself in the towering windows. As good as it felt to be back in his armor and eagle cuirass after so long, it was still strange to see the new colors that Malcador had bade him wear. Gone was the old Death Guard livery, the icon of the skull upon a six-pointed black star. There instead was a featureless ghost grey that could have been slate or silver, or a shade in between. It stirred an odd emotion in Garrow's chest, one that he could not quantify. What would you have me do? The regent's steady gaze did not waver.
Plans are being drawn.
Another of my agents has drafted a list of names. You'll leave the Somnus Citadel and travel the galaxy to seek the first of these individuals out. Another agent? Garrow echoed, musing upon the rumors he had heard. The Lunar Wolf Severian, perhaps? Malcador's eyes narrowed at the legionary's insight, but he neither
Oh,
confirmed
fuck.
nor denied his suspicions. 20 warriors from across all the legions, both loyalist and traitor, he continued. You will find them and bring them to me. You will do this and leave no mark where you pass. Garrow's fingers tightened around the hilt of his sword. For what cause? Malcador turned his back on him and looked out at the clouded orb of terror, raised high in the lunar night. For the future, Nathaniel. Calth was a world ablaze. Deep in the Viridian system, beneath the hard light of a wounded sun, war like no other had come to the planet. A war that sounded its echoes across the galaxy. A war that would change the face of humankind forever. Grim thunder roared over the distant howl of gunfire. Across the dying fields of blackened grasses, in the rubble of silent cities, through canyons of dark rock and ice-rimed sands.
Yeah, this is going pretty good. Oh, mana.
The sons of the great tactician Primarch Rabute Gilliman had come to the Viridian system to marshal their forces for battle. Their commander, ever the loyal warrior of the Imperium, massed the best of the 13th Legion and their soldiers from the Ultramar regiments of the Imperial Auxilia. This he did under the orders of his brother, the War Master Horus Lupercal. This Gilliman did without doubt or question. His fealty was repaid with treason of the most odious stripe. The battle to come, the battle Horus had bade him prepare for, instead arrived shrieking from the skies on trails of blood and murder. The warriors of Lorgar's 17th Legion, the zealot word-bearers, had come to kill. And with their oaths to the Emperor of Mankind broken, their new turncoat loyalty to Horus still painted fresh upon their blood-dark armor, the word-bearers stabbed their brothers in the back and scattered the Ultramarines to the points of the compass. Now, fire cradled Calth in molten talons of churning gas, great streams of glowing color that reached around the latitudes and raked the heavens. The aftershock of massed salvos of thermoplasma weapons and fusion bombs had torn into the planet's atmosphere. The thin layer of fragile sky was broken, and the damage irreversible. No untainted breath of Calth's air would remain, as each new dawn brought it closer to death. Amid the flames, Lieutenant Olin wandered.
Oh, we have forgotten to activate those torches.
Born on Espandor, which along with Calth was one of many worlds in the Ultramar Coalition. And like many souls upon them, he had shared the desire to stand in defense of his Imperium and his Emperor. Olin wore the sigils of the Aquila and of Ultramar with pride. While he had not had the fortitude to become a legionary of the Ultramarines, he did his part nonetheless. And somehow, even in the darkest of days during the battles of the Great Crusade, Olin had never been in fear for his life. He did not consider this arrogance. It was
Okay, I'm just gonna try something.
an enemy so powerful that it could not be defeated by Ultramar courage. At least, not until this day. Olin had not faced a legionary in battle before, and there had never been cause to consider that such a thing might even occur. The mere thought of it was foolish. That a single space marine might rebel against his liege lord was nigh impossible to comprehend. And to suggest that an entire legion, or even a Primarch, could turn upon the Emperor for their own glory. If any of his troopers had said such a thing, Olin's laughter would have drowned them out. The only laughter now came from their killers.
Was it Kevin that subscribed? I'm just gonna try.
Hundreds of men die in
Where's the test button?
He saw Ultramarines, weapons slung as they moved to greet the surprise arrival of their kinsmen, slaughtered where they stood in a flash of treachery. Ultramar's finest warriors, human and legionary alike, reeled beneath a blow struck from nowhere. They scattered across Calth in disarray, even as Lorgar's sons tore into the planet and put it to the torch. It was as if the whole world and every living thing on it were to be some vast burned offering. The last contact Olin's unit made with an allied squad came from an armored patrol moving north.
the hell is going on now?
Tank crews told the troopers of forces regrouping in the cavern cities, places where they might survive the souring of Kalth's atmosphere beneath miles of rock and steel. And so, Olin and his troops broke out, intent on a fast march across the plains of Dera to the caves. It was a good plan. It had failed when the monsters came. They boiled out of the icy deep, rising from their concealment in the ruins of a burning starport.
Okay, so I can see it there, but not.
No strain of Xenos that they were rippling, changing things that hooted and brayed, dragging clawed tentacles.
Okay, that's weird. Can't see it on the stream.
Melted men glared with orchards of eyes that froze your heart with a look, and some of them, the worst.
Maybe I need to refresh the thingy.
But seen through a hellish lens of madness and horror. As they came again, he thought of a word that few would ever speak in these secular days of human empire, a word he had once heard his late grandfather utter in a moment of senility, or perhaps of clarity. Demon. In his prime, the old man had been a starship officer, and in the madness of warp space, he had glimpsed secrets that had followed him to his grave. He had died a little before young Olin's eyes, just to say that word. Surveying the dwindling charge on his las pistol with grim understanding, Olin knew that he would very soon be joining his elder. The creatures advanced, and he gathered the last of his strength, casting around to his troops. "Every shot counts!" he roared his final orders, determined not to go quietly. "Make them pay for all they take!" The attack began anew. The nightmare spawn ripped into the troopers like a hurricane, cutting them down, eating them raw. Olin's gun ran red-hot in his hand, but they did not drop. The largest of them rasped and screamed as they feasted on the fallen, and little by little the soldiers were forced into a collapsing ring as their number diminished. Death was moments away now. Then, from above, deliverance arrived on wings of grey steel. A Stormbird dropship, falling from the firing...
Wait, I listened to this one.
Casting a shadow over the fight, turning in place as spears of white flame held it aloft. Olin's attention was seized for a brief moment. The ship was clearly Legion issue, and yet, try as he might, he could not recognize the livery. It was neither the deep arterial red of the traitor word-bearers, nor the striking blue of the Ultramarines. It was the color of ghosts. He watched as a brass-leaf hatch snapped open, and from it fell a giant figure in armor the same shade as the ship. As the craft powered away, the hulking warrior landed with a thunderous impact, killing a handful of the fanged monsters with the force of his arrival. Olin saw a shimmer of light on a vast sword.
Horus Rising by Dan Ablett. Read by Martin Ellis. I was there the day Horus slew the Emperor, he would say afterwards, until afterwards became a time quite devoid of laughter. It was a delicious conceit, and his comrades would chuckle at the treason of it. The story was a good one. Togadan would usually be the one to cajole him into telling it, for Togadan was the joker, a man of mighty laughter and idiot tricks. Loken was always careful to make sure his audience properly understood the irony in his story. It was likely that he felt some shame about his complicity in the matter itself, for it was a case of blood spilled from misunderstanding. But the death of Sejanus was usually all that fixed their attentions. That, and the punchline. It had been the 203rd year of the Great Crusade. The commander had been War Master for about a year, since the triumphant conclusion of the Ulanor campaign, and he was anxious to prove his newfound status, particularly in the eyes of his brothers. It was a strange time to be abroad among stars. They had been doing what they had been doing for 2 centuries, but now it felt unfamiliar. It was a start of things, and an ending too. The ships of the 63rd expedition came upon the Imperium by
All right, the boss.
etheric storm forced a route alteration.
I'm out of range.
Oh shit. Why am I still in combat? Fuck.
Oh, great magnificent!
What?
Lay your eyes upon this feast of souls. Too soon, incessant weakling.
What?
Be the compensation.
Okay. Okay, this is the first time I'm doing this kind of running around, kiting it. What the hell? What? What the hell? Increases healing done by spells by 20, increases attack and... Okay, so they want to do more even though the tank left. Maybe I should play with my mage a little.
Inventory is full.
Ew. Oh, there's someone role-playing. Oh, you're still here, John? Nice.
The Defias front is constantly shifting. I've been following their movements for quite some time now. On a side note, I've ascertained that many members of the gang can be tracked by the red leather bandanas they wear. Bring me 15 of these bandanas and I'll see to it you are rewarded.
Okay, let's kill some Defias tugs.
They're still recharging. I can't carry anymore.
Okay, this music. Like to listen to the main channel. I can do that for maybe a little.
I need to get closer.
Never heard this song before. This, however, I have heard a lot. One more level and I can get a turtle mount.
I need to target something first.
I do not recognize this song.
Yar, this is your airwaves captain speaking, Davy Jones. Currently I'm stowed away in the crow's nest of a blood-sail buccaneer fleet heading towards the South Seas. Let's see how long I can hide.
Hey, Jones! Turn that bass up, will ya? We want to feel the whole shaking. Turning it down is nae an option.
Ah, shiver me timbers. I gotta level up my stealth ability. You heard 'em, crew! We're turning it up! Brace yourselves!
Well, I gotta change to the other radio now, otherwise my channel is gonna get super duper, or this video will be blocked to hell and back. I really hate that with YouTube. I can listen to like 3 songs I can remove with the audio tool. But more than that, it doesn't work.
Inventory is full.
Oh, it's... yeah, I have to go to bed. It's almost 1:30 in the night, so... and I can't sleep all day tomorrow. Well, thank you for tuning in and joining. Sunday I'm gonna go to see a friend who is going to drive in a Norwegian championship in the racing. Different types of cars. That will be cool. So yeah, but I will also play more tomorrow, so see you then, I guess. Have a good day. Have a good day or night. See you tomorrow.